Throughout United States history, and really throughout world history, there have been pivotal moments, events that changed everything. Watershed events that changed the future, that changed what we now call the past. Events that, had they not happened, everything would have been different. These are usually clear-cut events where we can say if A didn't happen, then B, C, and D wouldn't have happened either. One of these events, the one I've chosen, happened fairly recently. It happened within our lifetime. September 11th, 2001. I think it's safe to say that we all know the story. We all know what happened. But do we all know the effects? What would have been different had the towers never burned? President Bush would have never declared war on terrorism. All men and women currently serving in the United States military either enlisted after or re-enlisted after 9/11. All of these men and women enlisted and re-enlisted, fully knowing that because of 9/11, deployment was a high possibility, and they enlisted anyway. Had 9/11 never happened, the military never would have changed the way that they run their ground wars. Without 9/11, there never would have been a huge increase in airport security, and there wouldn't be such a stigma about flying. Had 9/11 never happened, Osama bin Laden wouldn't be a household name. Kids wouldn't be learning about Al-Qaeda before they learned about the birds and the bees. There's a huge Islamophobia in the United States right now. Had 9/11 never happened, that wouldn't be happening either. Had 9/11 never happened, the New York skyline would look pretty different right now. In the city that cares about no one, suddenly everyone cared. Everyone's city had been under attack. People had lost their lives, their loved ones, their mothers, their fathers, their sisters, their brothers, their firefighters, their police officers. Everyone was hurting. Everyone was mourning. Those people's lives would have definitely been different had 9/11 never happened. These people live with and see and feel the effects of 9/11 every single day. Now there is a new World Trade Building standing right next to where the Twin Towers once stood. Ground Zero has been turned into a memorial and a museum commemorating those who lost their lives and lost their families on that horrible day. "9 11 is a pretty big what if. There are hundreds of things that are different because of it, and there's hundreds of thousands of more possibilities of things that will be different because of it. But my biggest what if, my biggest what would have been different, is me. The biggest reason I chose 9/11 as my what if project is because if 9/11 had never happened, my dad would have never been deployed. My dad has served 2 deployments, one to Desert Chemical Depot and one to Iraq. I wonder how this little girl and her brothers would have turned out if that had never happened. I wonder what my family would be like if my dad hadn't been gone when I was little. I don't think I would care so much about history or government or politics. I wouldn't care about having a global view. I got a red-headed mama who's always had a I do what I want attitude. She's always been that way, but my dad being gone to Iraq and her raising 3 kids by herself, that definitely made it even more than it already was. So much of who I am comes from becoming independent and watching my mother become independent while my dad was gone. So if you won't believe me that anything else changed or is different because of 9/11, believe me on this one. Those 17 and 18-year-old boys, like my dad and Brianna's dad, had no idea what they were getting into when they enlisted. Those boys are men now, and they're different because of 9/11. Their wives are different because of 9/11. Their children are different because of 9/11. And I am different because of 9/11.